Hi, all, and welcome to the Microsoft 365 Community Conference sponsor webinar series. I'm Ella Fernandez, Head of Connections at BTechly, and joining us today is our sponsor, Syskit. Today's session focuses on what AI sees in your Microsoft 365 tenant file archiving for AI readiness and cost control. But before we begin, a few reminders. To join the live Q&A, you'll need to register for the webinar. If you haven't registered yet, simply scan the QR code on the screen or visit btechly.com, select today's session, and enter your business email address. Once you're registered, our team will add you to the calendar invite, which include a link to join the Q&A chat at the end of the session. Please note that the Q&A is not live streamed. Join us at the Microsoft 365 Community Conference this April 21st to 23rd in Orlando. Register now by scanning the QR code on the screen or head to nextgen365events.com and use the discount code SAVE150 to get $150 off on your registration pass. Apply for the Microsoft 365 Community Grant Program built for small businesses and nonprofits to help you accelerate your AI journey with hands-on learning, expert guidance, and financial support to attend M365 Con 26. Scan the QR code on the screen or visit us at change3e.com/grants. And of course, like, subscribe, and follow both BTechly and the Microsoft 365 Community Conference. Without further ado, let's enjoy today's learning experience.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this webinar on what AI sees in your Microsoft 365 tenant, where we're really going to focus on a brand new feature today, which is file-level archiving in Microsoft 365. My name is Vlad Katrinescu. I'm a Microsoft MVP from Montreal, Canada, and tech evangelist at Syskit, and I'm joined by a good friend and wonderful colleague, Daniel. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thanks, Vlad. So, as you said, I'm Daniel, and I lead product managers at Syskit. So, we have a lot of fun stuff to talk about today. So, yeah, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. And for all of you attending, I'm not sure if you've realized over the past 3 years now, Microsoft only talks about one thing, and that is Microsoft Copilot. I always joke that if you work at Microsoft, you do have a quota that you have to say Copilot or agents every fifth word in order to remain a full-time employee. And we've kind of been pushed Copilot. And again, I understand AI is taking over. AI is going to change the way we work. There is no doubt about that. But when we look at the actual numbers today, only about 3.3% of organizations that already pay for Microsoft 365 or Office 365, so existing subscribers, actually use Microsoft 365 Copilot. So when you look at the huge number of already existing customers in that Microsoft ecosystem, such a low number have actually adopted the full power of M365 Copilot. But that's weird for me because if you take a look at research, everybody says that AI is a priority, that every C-level executive says that we need to implement AI, we need to get in front of it. But then you have that huge gap between actual implementations and how many people want it. But the reason is very, very technical. Daniel dug into some research for us.
Yep. So, as Vlad already said, so business does want AI. They see it as an enabler to growth. And basically, no organization doesn't want to grow. So everyone wants to grow. So that's kind of the challenge here. As you said, CEOs, they want AI. Everyone wants AI. But when you kind of look into this in a bit more details, this is some of the numbers from some of the Gartner presentations. Usually, so 71% basically of all organizations see security and governance as their top challenges when they're deploying Copilot. So this is what we are faced right now. And some of the other challenges here is when you're actually deploying or any M365 deployment is 67% of organizations actually stated that content sprawl is their, let's say, is in their top three risks, and oversharing is the second one at 63%. So when we kind of look at that for the last 3 years now, most of the stuff that we've been hearing about was how to manage oversharing, how to focus on that. And Microsoft has done a lot of stuff here. So they launched SAM. Everyone is focusing on SAM. Everyone is doing that. But content sprawl is kind of the first challenge here. So, and this is actually what we want to talk to you more about today. So I'll just kick over to Vlad to kind of guide you through how can you manage sprawl now in Microsoft 365.
And I love that you mentioned SAM because, we are subscribed to Gartner. Microsoft is subscribed to Gartner, of course. Every big organization there is subscribed to Gartner, and they're seeing the same numbers as us. And like you said, oversharing has been such a big topic. I feel like even if it's a lower percentage here, when you look at what people talk about online when it comes to Copilot readiness, I feel like 98% of people talk about oversharing and only 2% of people talk about content sprawl. But it's actually a bigger problem. And why is that? Is because the more content that Copilot has to look at when it has to reason, when you do a prompt, it has to reason over your content. The more content it has to look at, the more chances it has to actually pick something up that makes no sense for your prompt. And then it will give you an old file, it will give you something that makes no sense. And then you're going to be mad at Copilot. But maybe part of it is because you've been keeping files that you haven't touched in 5 years, but they're still active in SharePoint. And that's why Microsoft introduced Microsoft 365 Archive. The idea behind Microsoft 365 Archive at a high level is, let's be honest here, nobody likes to delete content. We're all hoarders, especially us in IT. I don't believe somebody works in IT unless they have a box of like old VGA cables and USB cables that they still have around the house. And when it comes to our enterprise data, we are even worse because we're afraid to delete content. But how can we find that balance between keeping content, but also taking it out of that Copilot index? And another problem that Archive wants to solve is storage. We have, and Daniel will have the numbers in a bit here, we have so much storage that we pay Microsoft for that is not actually used. So Microsoft 365 Archive allows us to move SharePoint content from hot storage, from active storage to a cold storage tier. So that is the idea of storage. And of course, the main thing is we can save money. So the idea behind M365 Archive is that we improve Copilot results because we remove inactive stuff from the index. We reduce storage costs, so you save money, but you also don't lose anything because we're not actually deleting it. We're just putting it into cold tier storage, and you can restore it within 24 hours. Metadata, permissions, everything is as it was before. And I know a lot of you, especially leaders, when I said save money, that's when the years started burning. So you can save 75% on storage when you move content from hot storage to cold storage. To give you the actual math, I have hot storage here in between like that because that is just active storage. Whenever you create a SharePoint site, any SharePoint site that is active, you pay 20 cents per gig per month USD for every gig that goes over your pooled storage. So we have the pooled storage that's included in M365. If you go over it, you start paying 20 cents per gig a month. If you move that content to Archive, you will now pay only 5 cents per gig a month. So again, you're saving 75% just by moving stuff to cold storage. And if ever you made a mistake, and I'll talk about specific days, delays, things like that later, but if ever you made a mistake, in max 24 hours, you have it back just the way it was. So there's no risk, there's no data being deleted, there's only benefits. And even better, you might tell me, okay, Vlad, but I don't have a storage problem yet. Well, Microsoft will only charge you on content that goes above your pooled SharePoint storage. So if ever you still have 1-2 terabytes to go until you hit that, well, even if you start putting stuff into archive today, you're not going to start paying until you hit that pooled storage quota. And when you do, it's going to be 5 cents, not 20 cents per gig per month. But now, those of you that have been following tech, you might tell me, okay, Vlad, you're not telling us much stuff that's new right now because M365 Archive reached general availability in May 2024. But we actually did a lot of research at Syskit. And Daniel showed me the other day the research, and the number is just crazy.
Yeah. So there were kind of a couple of challenges when Microsoft 365 Archive reached general availability. Some of them were mitigated very soon. So one of the challenges when we did discuss this with customers at that point in time was the reactivation fee. This was kind of dealt with very, very fast after that. But the other challenge and basically the missing piece here was that everyone basically we talked to about this needed file level archive. So what they actually said is, yeah, we do have a lot of inactive sites. So archive is going to help us with, I don't know, sprawl challenges. But when it comes to storage, it's not going to help much. So on that sense, we also did a lot of research on that. And now when you go to file level archive, you see that why this was the problem. So 65% of all of the data hasn't been touched in a year. So this is content without any activity in the last year. So all of this content is something that you can basically save. And this is an average number. We see organizations, especially in healthcare and finance, that have much bigger number of inactive storage. This is why you also, when you Vlad said that we are hoarders in some basically in some of the in some of the industries, this is more pronounced than in others, but you can go up to 80% of inactive storage, or let's say inactive data that hasn't been touched in over a year. So these are staggering numbers. Some of the people that I talked to weren't so surprised. So would like to see in the comments or in the chat here, how do you feel about this number? Is this something what you would kind of expect on your environment, or how does this look like? This is actually the data that we see from our customers currently.
That is for me, it's a crazy number. But I mean, kind of everybody loved the idea of archive, like you said, but when it came to out of the box tool, M365 Archive was just limited to archiving the full site. And this is where Microsoft actually we're on the 8 days ago, and it's not an April Fool's joke. 8 days ago, Microsoft has released file level archive into Microsoft 365 Archive, which for me solves a lot of those problems. And I'm not going to read the slides here, but think at it. The way that most enterprises work is that sometimes we have projects that go over a year long, and we have those weekly meeting recordings that we keep in there. If we wanted to use archive before, well, we couldn't because we had to archive the whole site. Or maybe we have, the team sites, the HR team site. I'm sure, Daniel, when in product management, they have recordings from over 5 years ago because we're hoarders. We want to keep all of them. But if we wanted to archive them, we couldn't. And this is where file level archive solves everything for us. It allows us to move one or multiple files to archive, leaving the rest of the site active. So some scenarios, like I mentioned, you have a long-running project, but you have, the meeting recordings that are a year old, or you have large images from the start of the project. Especially I see that in constructions and inspections, things like that. There's so many images from the start of the project that we need to keep because the project is not over, but we cannot we couldn't archive them before. We can even archive all the files in the folder. There are some limitations, like not all the we don't actually archive the folder, we archive everything inside. But the beautiful thing is that we can re-archive everything in one single click. Well, you know what? I feel like we've done 15 minutes on slides. That's the max I can do before becoming allergic to PowerPoint. So I think it's better if we go to a demo and see it in action. So right now, I'm in my very creative name here, Project Zulu. And you see, I have some documents in here. I have some old stuff. I know I'm very creative with my naming, where I have some really big files. I have some meeting recordings. So if I go back to documents, I have some meeting recordings. Let's say I want to archive a file. Again, I can just go to the three dots over here, and then let me zoom in a bit just to make sure you all see properly. And then I can simply go and archive this file. I will click on it, and I'll show you here the message that says, hey, are you sure that you would like to archive this item? You'll be able to reactivate it instantly for the first 7 days. After that, it will take up to 24 hours to reactivate. So let me click on confirm over here. So first of all, let me show you something. So I'll just do a refresh of the library for good luck for the demo guys. You see a few things change, and I'm not sure that you actually see it on the screen with screen sharing, but this is a bit grayer in color right now. But the biggest visual indicator is, you see I have the archive icon here. I see that this item is archived. Now, I want to talk about the message a bit because it's important. I'll archive another one here. So, really important, you see, if I archive a file, and it's the same idea for the sites, by the way, but today we're talking about file levels. If I make a mistake or something happens, I have up to 7 days to actually bring it back immediately. So when I mention immediately here, I'll click on it. I'm saying reactivate, and then bam, I can watch. I don't know who this guy is. Don't listen to him, but I can click on it, and then not even a few seconds later, my file is back reactivated here. I can put it back into archive after. So after you archive a file, 7 days, you bring it back instantly. So you made a mistake, you did something by accident, do not worry. For 7 days, it's instant. And after 7 days, it might take up to 24 hours. I do have a slide here, but I'll just put it here as a reference while I talk about it. So after 7 days, it can take up to 24 hours. Well, I have to switch things around here. There we go. Now you'll see a lot better. But yeah, so up to 24 hours, and there's never any cost to reactivate a file. Daniel mentioned it briefly, and the first year of archive, there used to be a reactivation fee, and some people kind of, when we say that first impressions matter, when people first looked at archive, they knew there was a reactivation fee, and they remember that. And I still talk to people today that don't know that reactivation fee got removed in May 2025. But today, I want to make it super clear. You reactivate something from SharePoint, there is no reactivation fee. There is one small limitation, is that after the 7 days, if you reactivate it, you cannot re-archive it for like 90 days. So there is a limit. I know Microsoft is working on trying to make that number smaller, but yeah, so there's literally nothing you can do to cost your company more money if you use archive. There are only benefits to doing it, because yes, even if you put it 2 months into archive and then you reactivate it, you still saved 75% on storage on those 2 months you put it in archive. You realize in 2 months you need it, that's fine. You still saved money then, and now you bring it back, and after that you'll put it back into archive. There's no way in which it will cost more than keeping it live in hot storage. From a permission point of view, you need edit permissions to archive file, but read permission to reactivate them. So that is very cool because, the members can go and archive them. But if a reader needs it, they don't need to bug a member. They don't need to open a ticket to IT. They can just go to it and bam, it's ready for them to view. I can also, again, I can go here. I can select multiple. Well, let me select multiple items here that are not archived. I can archive them like that. You see, it says, do you want to archive 2 files? Again, it went in here instant. And I can also go, if I go to my documents here, I can go to old stuff and I can archive all the files inside. Now, just something I do want to mention, you see it says archive all the files in the folder. The folder will not actually have, I'll refresh to show you, the folder will not actually have that icon near it because we do not archive the folder. We simply archive. Did it just not do it for me? At least you can see the demos live. This is not a Microsoft presentation. This is a live demo. Is already being archived. So it's just taking a little bit of time. Probably when you do it for all of them, it takes a little bit of time to do it. Let me try to break it. I might have a bug here for Microsoft. There we go. So I'll just do one of them because I want to show you something else. But you can archive all the files in a folder. The more files you have, I'm really impatient when it comes to technology. So I kind of want everything to be done in 1 second. Sometimes it takes 3 minutes. But again, in real life, you just archive all the files in a folder, go get a coffee, you're back. Life is good. Something else that I wanted to show you, let me go here and let me go to the properties. You'll see that I can still change the metadata on an archived file. So that is kind of cool. So if ever you want to archive stuff and then change the metadata, you can move it in another folder, things like that. So that file still remains there visible inside the library, which for me is one of the biggest advantages in file level archive. It's there when you need it, but you also don't pay extra money for stuff that you don't need. And as soon as you archive it, is out of that Copilot index. So old files are gone from the index. Copilot will now be indexed on a lot fresher results. So that will be, it's a win-win-win. I'm not sure how you can not like it. I'm in love with it. You might see it from the way I present, but I absolutely love this feature. And again, if ever you want to reactivate, you can always reactivate all the files in a folder. Again, it might take a few minutes. You need to be a bit more patient than me, but you will be able to bring all those files in that folder back. And again, if it's under 7 days, it will be instant. If it's over 7 days, it might take up to 24 hours. However, Microsoft is nice enough that if it's over 7 days, you'll actually get an email saying, hey, Vlad, the file that you requested to be reactivated is now ready for you to view. So they are nice about it. You get an email. You don't have to refresh for 24 hours. Okay, now, I already did a demo this. I do want to mention, this is still a public preview right now. And again, I don't know why PowerPoint is playing tricks on me here. You can see that I'm a SharePoint MVP, not a PowerPoint MVP. So it's making fun of me. But I do want you to remember that this is, it's really playing tricks with me. So I'll just go to the full slide here. This is still a public preview. There are some limitations. I have them all here on the screen while I talk a bit about them. So there are some apps, Word and PowerPoint Online today, that might try to open, or when you try to open an archive file, it might error out depending on how you open it. Teams, OneDrive, and SharePoint mobile apps don't fully support archive yet, so you might run into issues there. The macOS sync client for OneDrive for Business, your Office desktop clients, if you have updates before March 2026, as well as Clipchamp and Power BI. So again, This is public preview. I think Microsoft said it will go live in July 2026, so it's only 3 small months. But this is the perfect time to start using it, start creating your strategy around it to be able to use it properly. If your company and your policy say you have to wait until GA. There are also a few things that you cannot archive today. You cannot archive OneNote files, SharePoint pages, SharePoint agents, and anything in the site assets library. And you are limited to SharePoint sites only, which I'll be honest here, OneDrive has unlimited storage, so I don't think I would necessarily archive stuff there. But right now, so it's not a big blocker for me personally, but I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. I'm sure you might have use cases I haven't heard about before. So that is that it's only SharePoint. The site quota remains unchanged for now, and you have that re-archive restriction as well that we talked about. And now, because for those of you who know me, I'm an IT admin at heart. Let's talk a bit about the admin features because those are really important as well. So first of all, I do have some PowerShell commandlets here. So it's not on by default. Remember, this is a public preview. The way that Microsoft does stuff is opt-in by default during previews. Eventually, it will be on by default with opt-out, but I think we're far away from that for now. So what you have to do is you have to, and let's just do PowerShell stuff. I'll do get SPO tenant here to show you the. There we go here, select, and let me get the two parameters I want to talk to you about. Nobody can say that I'm not doing live PowerShell on a webinar. There we go here. There are two properties that we configure at the tenant level. So the first one is, do you want to allow file level archive, which is true or false? And do you want to allow file level archive on new sites by default? Because when you allow file level archive, you allow it at the tenant level, but then you still need to, and I'll copy a PowerShell commandlet here that's not going to work. You still need to go into every site you want to enable it and say, set SPO site, give it identity, and then say, allow file level archive true. Now, we'll be honest. If you're a SharePoint admin, you can probably do, get SPO site here, pipe it, set SPO site, and then allow file level archive. That would be the easy way to do it today and to just allow it on every single SharePoint site. And then after that, you have allow file level archive on new sites by default, and bam, you have it everywhere on existing and new ones. Or because it's in public preview, you want to test it with champions, you want to test it on a few department sites, just allow it at a tenant level and then set the specific sites that you want to allow it on. You really have that flexibility, which I love. I love that Microsoft gave us that flexibility. Now, probably one of the weaker points of archive today is the reporting. I have to be honest, I don't work for Microsoft. I can tell you what's good, what's not good. But right now, you only have PowerShell only reporting, and it's at the site again. Daniel, if ever PowerPoint is, you have to tell me because I get too excited and I stop looking at the screen. So
now we don't see anything on the screen. So
now you don't see it. Now it's even worse. Yeah? I don't know how I managed to make it worse here. Let me go here, swap presenter there. Now it should be pretty, or no? I'll share my screen here. Let's go. I managed to even break StreamYard. I'll need some of the wonderful people in the back. Thank you so much for putting it back on screen there. I managed to break StreamYard, so I'm a good QA engineer, as you can see. So right now, the reporting options are limited. You're limited to only PowerShell and reports at the site level only. So the PowerShell commandlet you use is get SPO site, give it the identity of the site, and then you have the archived file disk used. So let's take a look at it in practice here. There, now validating, you see my PowerShell. Yes. So how it works here. You do get SPO site. I gave it my project Zulu. I selected the archive file disk used, and then I get this very big number. Daniel, you're good in math, right?
Yeah, not at these big numbers.
Right? It's like why do they show it like that? So there is a commandlet, and I'm not going to go and break PowerPoint again, but I'll put it in the chat while Daniel is presenting. I built a little PowerShell commandlet that will make it a bit better for all of you using it. Now, I guess even copy paste is playing with me. But this way, if ever you want to see at the site level what that number means in megabytes and gigabytes, you can actually look at it like that. And now you can have a bit of a better report at the site level. And again, I'm sure many of you listening are PowerShell pros. You can also, of course, spend time, use PowerShell, and create a nice report that does it at the tenant level. But really, if we take a look at what the Microsoft documentation says, this is the commandlet that we get. So it's nothing really fancy, but at least we have that data there. Again, I do wish I had, a UI report somewhere in the admin center. I wish I could see how much money I'm saving. I wish it would be reflected in the site quota, but those are things that, it's a public preview. So, yeah, there's still a lot of stuff to bring it to the admin level I expected. But the cool part is that that's what Daniel has been building, and the team, of course, has been building over the past few months. At Syskit, we've been very lucky to be part of the private preview for Archive, allowing us to test it and to build it for a couple of months now. And finding out a few bugs, I'm happy to say that got solved before we went into the public preview. But Daniel, so what have you and your team built to take file level archive to the next level?
Yeah, so if we go to the demo on my side now, so there are a couple of things that we've been focusing on here. So the first thing is the part that, as you showed it right now, I don't want to go into too much of the presentation, but the thing is that a lot of stuff here that you've shown is focused on the end users. And when we talk to admins, we know that end users actually, even though we think of ourselves as hoarders here, end users don't want to archive anything. So in that sense, being able to do actions in bulk and help your organization to save money and be more Copilot ready, as admins is something that we've been focusing on here in a bit more details. And the other stuff that I'm also going to show in a much more details is how we can utilize both file level archive with the ability to trim the versions, because this is something that enables you to achieve very big savings in your side in a kind of much more detail. So let's now focus briefly on what we actually can do here. So you're now in Syskit Point. There is a lot of stuff here, but we are going to be focusing on this from a storage perspective. So usually here, what you can see is how close you are to your tenant quota, how much you already saved, and what's your kind of potential savings right now, and you can clean up storage based on that. So once you go into this in a bit more details, you can immediately see your archive and how much you actually archived already. So it's split down to what you archived on a site level, and it's split down to what you've done on a file level. You have some potential savings here, and when we were talking about M365 archive on site level, this is one of the reasons that we at that point in time didn't see a lot of people using it. And I believe some of the numbers that we showed in the presentation is that only 10% of people are using it right now. So this is something that is going to help. So with file level archive, we hope that this is going to bring up the ability for you to utilize the file level archive and M365 archive as well. So inactive workspaces does have the lowest potential. what we usually get asked when we talk to this with the customers is, where do I actually start? So yeah, I do have file level archive, but what should I where should I start? And there are a couple of answers. Obviously, you could focus on the largest sites, so you have the ability to look at that. But there are also other possibilities. So you can look at largest growth in the last 80 days and 180 days and look at that. You can look at some of the potential savings where you already have that. What you can also do is bring your own or do your own report. So if you want to look at the files that have activity in, I don't know, that is less, or let's say sites that didn't have activity before, I don't know, what is this, January 1st, you can do that here easily and kind of bring your own report, make your own reports, and start focusing on that. Why this matters actually is because you start from a place where you actually can make a lot of savings to start with. So let's focus on the biggest savings at the moment. So I'm just going to focus on the largest site right now. And here, when I go into a particular site, what happens is I immediately see the kind of all of the files and also their sizes, as well as their last activity, which is something that at the moment, as far as we've heard, is not something that you can see very quickly through native Microsoft tools. You can also add your own columns here. If you're focusing on that, if you want to focus on create date, last modify date, you can add those columns and again, create your own reports. And based on these, you can filter down and say, okay, what should I filter? What should I archive in this case? So if I focus on, for example, maybe just the files that didn't have activity in the last year, I have this view, and as an admin, because my let's say end users don't want to archive their files, I can just archive everything that is currently alive in just one click. So all of this is something that you can have all of the bulk actions, and then with with archiving, you can focus on that. So
I
this is
love that. I love that because, like you, and I think we have a slide on it that we skip directly to the demo, but
yeah,
end users don't want to go do it, because end users, they're like, I don't want to say they don't care, but they don't care because, they just want to get their stuff done. But it's us admins that see the storage for the tenants. So us being able to do them and archive
mhm,
it without damaging their flow, because if they need that file tomorrow, well, they'll just click on it and it will be instantly reactivated. So it's
exactly.
beautiful like that.
Yeah, and if you get, for example, what we've heard is, yeah, we will get some tickets. They will need us to, let's say, reactivate some of the files. Yeah, that's also something that you can easily do here. You just go to that site, see all of the files that have already been archived, and just reactivate them here. So as an admin, I can go here and again, in a couple of clicks, I can immediately reactivate all of the files that have been archived. So archived already. But this is kind of the first part where you focus on helping your organization if your end users don't care, as we put it like this. But the other part that is very, very important here is the thing that you can focus on the combining both file level archive with versioning. This is something that actually unlocks massive savings. And in terms of this, let me just focus on the largest files. So every file and how this is calculated, basically for the storage perspective, uh, you have your file size, and every version has its size. So basically the total size of this file here that I have, so the last version has 2 gigabytes. The total size of which is being charged to me is 55 or 56 gigabytes. So this is just for 24 versions. I can get up to 500 versions. So you'll see how these files get big very, very quickly. So, and if I wanted to now get this, or let's say move it to archive, yes, I would be paying in the archive. Yes, it would be 5 cents, but it would be 5 cents for these 55 gigabytes here. It wouldn't be 5 cents for what's the latest version. So what I can quickly do here is, if I also in bulk select all of them, archive, what we would kind of give you the ability is to see, okay, yeah, you are going to archive 3 files. So this is going to put 102 gigabytes to your archive. But if you keep only the last version, we are going to be removing 90 gigabytes of this file immediately. So if I just click here, now it becomes 11 gigabytes that's going to archive. So basically, I'm saving 90% with one click, 90% on top of that 75%. So this is how you get those stacked savings in just a couple of clicks here.
It's a multiplier. It's not only adding up, it's basically a multiplier of your savings, which is great. I love it.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and this is kind of where we focus on right now. Obviously, in the time to come, we are going to be building more on top of the functionality that is there right now. So, in terms of this, if you want to follow up, just go to our let's say to syskit.com and see what we kind of have there for you to save on top of your storage. So, yep.
I was going to say, I think we have some beautiful slides if people want to reach us. We have the easy way for them to do it, but I got too excited there.
No props. Maybe we can show the slide. I wanted to kind of go through, let's say, the demo as quick as possible so that we can get to the presentations at that point. So, but yeah, maybe we can show the last slide, just how much this actually saves. So we can go back to the presentation if.
I wanted, I know you said the last slide, but I know you spent so much time making those slides beautiful. I wanted to show them here as a reminder as well, you know? So we talked about this. We talked about the archive and version trim, just as a reminder for everybody. We already did the demo, and here is that recap that I think you wanted to talk about.
Exactly. So yeah, what we actually just to go through everything that we said so far. So content sprawl is actually the #1 Microsoft 365 challenge, as Gartner pointed out. So 67% of organizations have identified this as one of their top 3 challenges. So, but we've seen, and as you pointed out, Vlad, 98% basically of all of the chats that we have is around oversharing, and not a lot of people are focusing on this content sprawl challenges that they're having. So file level archive is also, it has this dual purpose, as it says here. So it's not just about 75% of storage cuts or more. It's also here to help you have cleaner data in Copilot. So that's the point around all of this. And just to kind of bring this up again, 65% of your storage, this is something that you need to be very, very careful about, is already inactive. So this is a lot of our other research is going in that direction, but a lot of these files, more than 90% of them, are never going to be accessed again. So, and if they need to be accessed again, you have an easy way to reactivate them. So it takes top 1 day to reactivate all of those files. So it makes a lot of sense to archive that content, not just because of storage, but also for the AI visibility. And then the last point here is actually, if you're actually having the file level archive as a feature, and it has a lot of benefits, with Syskit Point, this is something that you can turn the functionality of file level archive in basically a strategy. So you have the visibility on the last date, you have the ability to trim versions before archiving, and all of the lifecycle management, which helps admins basically do all of that at scale. So this is it in terms of the recap. But before we jump into the Q&A session, I just wanted to kind of bring us all back to the beginning, where we said that, yeah, these are the challenges. So 71% see the top challenges being security and compliance. Content sprawl and oversharing are the 2 biggest challenges here. And this is exactly what Syskit Point is focusing on. So Syskit Point is basically your governance layer for Microsoft 365 environments. We are here to help you with the visibility into your entire Microsoft 365 tenant, from your sites, Power Platform, agents, everything there. Security to help you oversee the access, who has access to what, Also, more recently, what has access to what within your tenant. So this is something that is there. And also then to automate all of the governance policies and lifecycle management with kind of by empowering end users to be basically the governance partners. So these are the three core pillars. Obviously, storage savings and basically savings on top of everything, including the licenses, is something that we are focusing on as well. So with Syskit Point, you'll get a lot of benefits, not just storage savings. So with that being said, I believe it's time for the Q&A. So yeah, over to Ella, I believe.
I was going to say really quick, Daniel, we said we're going to do this in 45 minutes, and it's been 45 minutes and 30 seconds when you stopped. So our timing was on point on this one. I love it.
Exactly. Thanks. Yeah, that's good to know. Good to see.
You guys did great. This is such an insightful session. So, to everyone joining us on the live stream, thank you so much for being here. We're wrapping it up shortly. If you don't have a conference pass yet for the Microsoft 365 Community Conference, register now by scanning the QR code on your screen or go to nextgen365events.com and use the discount code SAVE150 to save $150 off on your registration pass. Apply for the Microsoft 365 Community Grant Program by scanning the QR code on the screen or visit change3e.com/grants. This program is built to support small businesses and nonprofits with hands-on learning, expert guidance, and financial assistance for the Microsoft 365 Community Conference. If you'd like to participate in the live Q&A with Vlad and Daniel, please be sure that you join us using the link in your calendar invite. And bye for now.